Hi viewers, welcome to my class on heat transfer. In this class, I will give a brief introduction to the subject and later we will discuss the different modes of heat transfer and the boundary conditions used in various situations while solving problems. In our daily life, every one of us are familiar with the temperature. All of us can feel the temperature change. How do you feel a body is hot or cold? That is when we touch it, right? When we touch a hot surface, heat is flowing from that surface to our body. So all of us have experienced this kind of heat flow in our daily life. Also from our experience, we know even without contact, heat can flow. So what is heat transfer? It is the energy transfer as a result of temperature difference. The subject heat transfer is the science which studies and predicts the energy transfer from one region to another region as a result of temperature difference. So temperature difference should exist for the heat to flow, and there are different modes by which heat transfer can take place. So the three different modes of heat transfer are conduction, convection and radiation. Now the first mode of heat transfer which we discuss is conduction. The conduction is mode of energy transfer in solids. Mainly this happens in solids. Conduction can occur in liquids and gases, but that is meager, very small amount, but mainly this happens in solids. And the conduction heat transfer is mainly because of molecular or atomic vibrations and also because of free electron motion. So atoms or molecules vibrate in their main position and transfer energy to the adjacent atoms or molecules. Free electron motion is a main carrier of energy in solids, and the free electrons move from one place to another place and transfer energy in solids. Good conductors have number of free electrons, and that will cause conduction to take place at a faster rate, and the heat transfer by free electron motion is nearly 100 times more than that due to atomic vibrations. That is the reason why metals are good conductors of heat, and metals usually will have number of free electrons and than non-metals. So metals are good conductors of heat. Materials which are good conductors of electricity are also good conductors of heat. Even for conduction of electricity, free electron movement is required. Free electrons are the main cause of conduction of electricity, and even for conduction of heat, this free electron motion is the main cause of conduction. Now the law governing conduction heat transfer is Fourier law of heat conduction. Fourier law states that the heat transfer by conduction is directly proportional to the area normal to the direction of heat flow and also proportional to the temperature gradient. Heat transfer by conduction, say let us say that metallic rod, heat is flowing from one end to the other end because of the temperature change. Temperature is here is 200, the other end is 50. The heat will naturally flow from higher temperature side to lower temperature side. Fourier law states that this heat conducted is directly proportional to the area normal to the direction of heat flow. Direction of heat flow is along the length of the rod. Area normal to that is cross-sectional area. So it is proportional to the area. So that means if area increases, the conduction also will increase. So it's directly proportional to area and also directly proportional to the temperature gradient. So temperature gradient means here what is the temperature gradient? If you consider this rod, temperature gradient is final temperature at the end of this temperature is 50, and starting here its temperature is 200. Temperature gradient is 50 minus 200, so that will give the temperature difference, that will give minus 150 divided by the length. Length is 1.5 meter, so minus 150 divided by 1.5 which will give minus 100. So temperature gradient is minus 100 degrees centigrade per meter. So that is a temperature gradient. So what is that temperature gradient means? Minus 100 degrees centigrade per meter. Per meter length, the temperature is decreasing. Minus shows that the decrease. Per meter, temperature is decreasing by 100 degrees centigrade. So every meter, the temperature is decreasing by 100 degrees centigrade. This is 1.5 meter length. So at the end of 1 meter, temperature is decreases by 100 degrees centigrade. So from 200 it decreases to 100. And next is only half meter. In that half meter, it will decrease by 50 degrees centigrade. So 100 minus 50 will get 50 degrees centigrade. So temperature gradient gives the rate at which the temperature is changing with the distance. So it depends on the temperature gradient. So Fourier law states that the heat transfer by conduction is directly proportional to the area normal to the direction of heat flow and also proportional to the temperature gradient. So combining these two, we can say that Q is equal to minus K. This is a proportionality constant introduced, minus K A dt by dx. So K is a proportionality constant and it is known as thermal conductivity of the material. And minus sign is introduced because usually in the direction of heat flow, we have already seen that heat will be flowing in this direction and the temperature gradient is negative. Usually in the direction of heat flow, temperature gradient will be negative. To make that positive, we have introduced a negative sign. So Q is equal to minus Ka dt by dx, this Fourier law of heat conduction. K is the thermal conductivity and its unit is watts per meter degree centigrade or watts per meter Kelvin. So you can also, because it's a temperature difference is coming, you can either use degree centigrade or Kelvin. So 1 watts per meter degree centigrade is equal to 1 watts per meter Kelvin, because this temperature change is taken here. Temperature change is coming in this. So 1 degree centigrade temperature change is equal to 1 Kelvin temperature change. So thermal conductivity 1 watts per meter Kelvin and 1 watts per meter degree centigrade are equal. Now what is thermal conductivity? It is a property of material, and higher the value of thermal conductivity, it permits more amount of heat to flow through that material. So it does not depend only on the area and temperature gradient, it also depends on the property of the material for conduction to take place. Higher the value of thermal conductivity, more amount of heat will flow through that material. So a material which is having good thermal conductivity will permit more amount of heat to flow through it. So metals are good conductors and it will have usually very good thermal conductivity than non-metals, and some of the insulators which inhibits the flow of heat will have very low value of thermal conductivity. So insulators have low thermal conductivity and good conductors will have high thermal conductivity. The thermal conductivity may be considered as the rate of heat transfer per unit area per unit temperature gradient. So when the area and temperature gradient both are unity, then thermal conductivity is equal to the rate of heat transfer. That means 1 meter length, if only 1 degree centigrade drop is coming and area of cross section is unity, whatever heat flow permitted by this material through it gives the value of thermal conductivity. Now next mode of heat transfer we will discuss is convection heat transfer, and convection is a process of heat transfer through a fluid motion. So usually fluid movement is involved in convection heat transfer. So usually convection takes place from a surface or to a surface. Now consider the hot surface which is maintained at Ts and the surrounding is at a temperature Ta. Now from the surface the heat will flow to the adjacent fluid molecules by conduction. Very close to that surface, the heat transfer is by conduction. Later on, the fluids become hot. That will rise to the top because of the decrease in density, and cold fluid will replace this. So that way there will be a circulation of fluid on the surface, and this fluid movement, hot fluid is moving to the top, and again cold fluid is coming back. So there is a flow of heat from this surface to the fluid. This can happen from fluid to surface also. So usually the convection heat transfer is by movement of a fluid. So fluid motion is involved in convection heat transfer. The main process by which heat transfer takes place in convection is by diffusion, that is a molecular transport of fluid, and also by advection. Advection is bulk transport of fluid. Diffusion is mainly due to density difference. So when in a stagnant fluid, the diffusion takes place by molecular transport. Diffusion is due to density difference. It happens in a molecular level, very minute level. Advection is bulk transport of fluid, bulk movement of fluid by any convection current that can cause advection. The law governing convection heat transfer is Newton's law of cooling. It states that the heat convection is directly proportional to the surface area and also proportional to the temperature difference between the surface and the fluid. So it is proportional to the surface area of from which surface the heat is flowing, or to which surface heat is flowing. It is directly proportional to the surface area and also proportional to the temperature difference. In this case, temperature difference is Ts minus Ta. Now combining this, you can say that heat transfer by convection is HA delta T, where H is the proportionality constant used, and it is known as heat transfer coefficient or convection heat transfer coefficient. The heat transfer coefficient depends on the surface fluid combination. It depends on the surface fluid properties and external conditions. The unit of H is watts per meter square degree centigrade or watts per meter square Kelvin. Since in this degree centigrade means per degree centigrade difference, because this H is Q by A delta T. Delta T is the difference in temperature. So difference in temperature, whether it is in degree centigrade or Kelvin, are same. So 1 watts per meter square degree centigrade or 1 watts per meter square Kelvin are one and the same. You may define the heat transfer coefficient like this: the rate of heat flow from a surface per unit area per unit temperature difference. That means when surface area is unity, that is 1 meter square, and temperature difference is 1 degree centigrade, then whatever rate of heat flow from the surface is equal to the heat transfer coefficient. The rate at which the heat is flowing from the surface will be equal to the heat transfer coefficient when area and temperature difference are unity. Now there are two types of convection. They are natural convection and forced convection. Natural convection happens purely due to density difference, and the fluid, when they become hot, rises to the top and cold fluid replaces it, and this happens naturally without any external agency. Whereas in forced convection, fluid is forced over the surface, and maybe like using a fan or a blower, etc. And in case of forced convection, heat transfer takes place much faster rate, because the fluid which is coming in contact will be rapidly carried away by forcing the air over or forcing the fluid over the surface, and cold fluid will take place. So the heat transfer will be much higher in this case, and since the temperature and areas are constant, heat transfer coefficient will be much higher in that case. because area and temperature difference will be always constant for a given surface fluid and conditions. So heat transfer coefficient can increase when fluid is forced over the surface, and heat transfer coefficient will increase in case of forced convection. So natural convection, usually the heat transfer coefficient will be less, whereas in forced convection heat transfer coefficient will be much higher. Now, the radiation heat transfer is another mode of heat transfer, and it also occurs due to temperature difference, but no material medium is required for radiation heat transfer to take place. In fact, perfect vacuum is ideal for radiation heat transfer. So the radiation emitted from a surface reaches another body, and all bodies are emitting radiations irrespective of its temperature, and also receives the radiations emitted by other bodies. So all bodies in the universe above absolute zero is emitting radiations, and at the same time they are receiving radiation. So the bodies are emitting radiations and also receiving radiation. This difference in emitted and received radiation will cause a heat transfer to occur. So this is radiation heat transfer. The law governing radiation heat transfer is Stefan-Boltzmann law. It states that for a black body, radiation emitted from its surface per unit area is proportional to the fourth power of its absolute temperature. So heat flux, radiation emitted per unit area means heat flux. Heat flux is directly proportional to fourth power of absolute temperature, and the proportionality constant is Stefan-Boltzmann constant. The value of Stefan-Boltzmann constant is 5.669 into 10 raised to minus 8 watts per meter square Kelvin to the power of 4. So Stefan-Boltzmann law is applicable only for a black body. So in case of black bodies, they will emit radiations, and the radiation heat flux emitted from its surface is proportional to fourth power of absolute temperature. So you can find out the heat flux from a black body by applying Stefan-Boltzmann law, as heat flux is equal to sigma T to the power of 4. So in solving the heat transfer problems, we need to define certain boundary conditions. Different situations will come, so we will have different boundary conditions used. Generally there are three boundary conditions. One is boundary conditions of first kind. It is prescribed temperature boundary conditions. So for a surface, if the temperature is specified, so at this point the temperature is T1, and the other end temperature is say TL at a distance L from this point. If you take this as a y-axis, at x is equal to 0 we have temperature T1, and at x is equal to L temperature is TL. So we are specifying the temperatures. Somehow we are maintaining the temperature is constant. Here also temperature remains constant. So if you can specify the temperature at a given point, that is the constant temperature boundary condition. And here the condition is at x is 0. So taking this as y-axis, at x is 0, that is first one is spatial coordinate, that is x is 0. It is taking as a one-dimensional heat transfer. One dimensional means heat is flowing only in one direction, not in y direction or z direction. So only in one direction is heat is flowing. So I have taken only one spatial parameter. So temperature can be defined with the x, y, z, and with respect to time also. So here I have taken only one spatial coordinate, only x direction. So temperature at x is equal to 0 and time t, the given time is T1. So we are specifying the temperature at a given point, that is x is equal to 0, as T1. Again temperature at x is equal to L is at a given time is T2. So specifying the temperature at any surface like this, constant temperature you are specifying like this, that is temperature boundary condition. So temperature is specified at the boundary of the surface, and it is temperature boundary condition. Now if you are specifying the heat flux instead of temperature, we have like so much heat is flowing into the surface and so much heat is flowing at the other end of the surface. So any surface, you need not have both. Here you may have temperature boundary condition, here you may have heat flux boundary condition. So if you are specifying that so much of 10 watts of heat is flowing into the surface when x is equal to 0, that is a heat flux boundary condition or boundary condition of second kind. So if the rate of heat supplied to a boundary is constant, such a heating and the boundary by electrical heater or boundary condition is called heat flux boundary condition. So to maintain this heat flux, you may have an electric heater attached to this, which might be supplying the heat at a constant rate. So we are not worried about that. We are just specifying that so much of heat is supplied at the surface. So much of is the heat flux at this point. Q0 is the heat flux when x is equal to 0, and QL is the heat flux at x is equal to L. Specifying that is called heat flux boundary condition. So when x is equal to 0, that is this point at this surface, x is 0, Qx is equal to x is 0. So Q0 is equal to minus k dt by dx at x is equal to 0. So the heat flux, we have specified the heat flux as Q0 is equal to minus k dt by dx at x is equal to 0. So that is heat conducted from this. Heat flux is so much, it will be conducted from that point. This is by Fourier law of heat conduction per unit area. A is not there. So per unit area, so much heat is conducted away. So heat flux, whatever heat flux is taking place, so much heat will be conducted from that point. Otherwise, temperature will not be steady. The heat flux also will change. So in a steady state heat transfer process, heat flux at the surface is equal to heat conducted at that surface. So Q0 is equal to minus k dt by dx at x is equal to 0. Similarly, at x is equal to L, the heat flux is QL. QL is equal to minus k dt by dx at x is equal to L. The heat flux at the surface, it may be like a positive or negative, it can be flowing out also. So QL is equal to minus k dt by dx. Whatever heat is conducted is equal to QL. QL can be either towards the surface or from the surface. So based on that, it can be positive or negative. So whatever heat is conducted is equal to heat flux at that surface. So heat flux is equated to heat conducted. This is heat flux boundary condition. Next is convective boundary condition. Convective boundary condition, convection is specified. Convection at a surface is specified. Convection heat transfer coefficient is specified. So H is the heat transfer coefficient at convection, and the convective heat transfer, when the convection heat transfer coefficient is given, convective heat transfer is H into temperature difference per unit area. For unit area, H into temperature, HA delta T, as per Newton's law of cooling, convection heat transfer is HA delta T. So H into temperature difference, H into T1 minus T infinity. Here the temperature difference is T infinity minus T1. Heat is flowing from the fluid to the surface. So I have written H into T infinity minus T1 at x is equal to 0 is equal to heat conducted out from that. For steady state process, heat convected is equal to heat conducted. For steady state process, heat convected is equal to heat conducted out. So H into T infinity minus T1 at x is equal to 0 is equal to minus k dt by dx at x is equal to 0. The similar equation you can write on the other end. H into T2 minus T infinity. T infinity is the temperature of the fluid here, and T2 minus T infinity is the temperature difference. H into T2 minus T infinity is equal to heat conducted is minus k dt by dx at x is equal to L. This is a boundary condition of third kind, or convective boundary condition. So these are the three boundary conditions usually used in heat transfer problems. Thank you for watching.